We start off with news from Penn State, where there is discussion yet again about the future of their football coach, Bill O'Brien. Remember, he came from the NFL when he joined the program in January of 2012. Last year, he had discussions with NFL teams, but at the time said he was going to stay with Penn State. Here's what he said a year ago.
In my profession, the National Football League is the highest level of coaching. You don't get any higher in coaching than the National Football League. You know, out of respect for what we did this year, a few teams reached out to my representative and we had conversations. That's as far as it went. You know, at the end of the day, the most important thing is the decision that I made. I made the decision to be here at Penn State just like I made that decision a year ago, and I can't think of a better place to be.
That was last year, and the noise seems to be back this year. For more on this, we bring in Pete Thamel from Sports Illustrated. Now, Pete, what can you tell us about Bill O'Brien's contract?
Well, Mike, it's my understanding that though these developments have been just reported recently, these changes have been in place for months. Bill O'Brien changed agents sometime within the last year, and with that came some changes in the contract, which included obviously the drastic buyout reduction that we've seen. And you know, it certainly the old buyout was just such an astronomical amount, a clear anomaly if you're in this business where you talk to agents and deal with contracts all the time. It was just, I've never seen a buyout bigger than that. So this is, if anything, a little bit of a market correction to the norm, but it certainly does lead to what I think is legitimate speculation that this could be the end of Bill O'Brien's time at Penn State, and we'll find out in the next couple of weeks.
And the numbers, basically 2/3 of the buyout are cut down, correct?
Yes, I believe off the top of my head, it's like from a $19 million area to a $6 million area. And the $6 million, that's still a pretty big buyout. But 19 is just, that's pinball numbers. That's mind-boggling.
Now, logic seems to say in interviews with Bill O'Brien, when you know his history, especially from what we heard last year, it seems like his heart is set on the NFL at some point in his career.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Bill O'Brien, in his short time at Penn State, has done unbelievable work. He went into a completely toxic situation, guys fleeing campus, rival programs literally flying in and knocking on players' doors to try to recruit them. I mean, I think this, in the 2 years that have passed, we've forgotten a little bit just how bad things could have turned out for the Penn State football program. He reinstilled pride there, and I think more importantly, as a coach, Mike, he maximized the talent there, which honestly hadn't happened in quite a long time. I mean, if you look at the career of Matt McGloin after he got there, turned him into a functional NFL player when he was barely a functional college player. I mean, Bill O'Brien has done that place really, really proud.
So to summarize that, basically saying it's better for Penn State that he's leaving this year as opposed to last year when after 1 year it might have seemed too brief for a real turnaround to take hold.
Absolutely. He has definitely stabilized the program that desperately needed it. He's done it with class. He's done it with grace. He's done it with integrity. And quite frankly, Penn State really is now just heading into the teeth of these NCAA sanctions. Certainly they were slightly reduced, but look, the next couple of years are going to be very difficult uphill sledding. And Bill O'Brien didn't sign up for this, remember. He did not have knowledge of these sanctions when he took the job. And I really think nobody in their right mind could blame Bill O'Brien for not wanting to spend the prime years of his coaching career with one hand tied behind his back. And if he was stayed at Penn State, that's what he'd be doing.
Realistically, what kind of a time frame are we on? The NFL still has one more week in their regular season, and the bowl games are already underway for college.
Well, if you're Bill O'Brien, I think you have to look at it this way, Mike. There are certain jobs in the NFL that are much like in the Big Ten, for example. The Ohio State job is much better than the Indiana job, okay? And the Giants job, which may or may not open, probably not, there are those kinds of jobs that are marquee jobs, and there are jobs that are not as good. Bill O'Brien is not going to leave for a lower end or what's perceived to be a lower end NFL job. He's going to go in a place with stable ownership, good general manager, great history, good financial situation. He's only going to take a solid, stable NFL job where he can win. And whether one of those opens up or not remains to be seen right now. So I think the biggest factor in him leaving will be, is there a place that's suitable for him to go? And it's not a financial thing. It's more, okay, I'm going to have probably one really good NFL run in me. I want to do it in a place where I can win.
It's interesting. So he won't leave for the first NFL job, but he'll leave for the right one. Pete Thamel from Sports Illustrated. Thanks for the time and the insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.